So prices are rising, especially in New York, so you know what that means. Raise taxes. But you know what the funny thing is? Taxation is actually theft. Folks, this is The Brink. And remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you like me and you like what we do here. And if you love it, you can be a Daily Caller patron. No one is stopping you. In fact, everyone is encouraging you to do so. So there is a link in the description below. Sign up, join the Patriot team. So AOC and her socialist comrades complain about how expensive food is getting. So what's their natural reaction? Make other people pay for it. And what people exactly? Well, in New York, people who make about $250,000, which if you live in the state, you know that's actually not really that much. But according to the socialists, it is time for those greedy rich people who work so hard to pay their fair share. And I want to know, tell me more. What is your fair share of what I have worked hard to earn? So socialists want to raise taxes on the top 5% of New Yorkers to fund things like healthcare and education and housing. You name it, you get it, right? Because rather than forcing New York City officials to stop taking money away from New Yorkers and giving it to the migrants, it just makes more sense to add on more taxes. But there's a glaring problem with that, right? A recent study by Upgraded Points found that New York saw the largest exodus of wealthy people between the ages of 26 to 45 who made more than $200,000 a year than any other state, according to 2021 data. Money moves, folks. Money moves. Capital is mobile, right? It moves to places like Florida and Texas, the Carolinas. I mean, even people who aren't in that income bracket, they're fleeing because the taxes are already too high. They are crippling in New York. Look, I know, I live here, okay? It's brutal. And you know what? The 13th Amendment bans involuntary servitude, and yet every single American citizen is involuntarily enslaved to the federal government. Don't believe me? Try not paying your taxes this year. Let me know how that checks out for you. The founders foresaw, like they did most things, a Congress so unrestrained that they included restrictions on what taxes could be levied for. In fact, and this is where things get interesting, we talk about an income tax all the time, right? But did you know that Abraham Lincoln signed a bill into law in 1862 that levied an income tax, and 10 years later, that law was repealed and deemed unconstitutional? Yeah, they don't teach you this in school. They don't want you to know what the government's up to, okay? But greedy Congress wouldn't let a court opinion stop them. So fast forward to 1894, Congress tries their hand at another income tax. And then a year later, you have Pollock v. Farmers Loan and Trust Company, in which the Supreme Court ruled that the income tax was unconstitutional as a direct tax. Now, direct tax is a term from Article 2, Section 9, and a direct tax is basically a tax that is levied on a person rather than a good. Now, the clause is very specific. It says a direct tax can be levied, but only if it is in proportion to the census. So the 1894 income tax was unconstitutional because it was not levied in proportion to the state's population. Now, Congress does have the power to levy indirect taxes because these taxes at the time, they were generally thought of as consumption taxes. So, if taxes became too high, consumers would respond in kind. So they would stop buying a good until the prices were lowered and reflected, basically fair market value for what people were willing to pay for it. But let's keep going. So how in the world did we end up with an income tax in the first place? Big Brother passes the 16th Amendment, which reads in part that Congress can levy taxes, quote, without apportionment among the several states and without regard to any census or enumeration, thus overturning the decision of Pollock v. Farmers Loan and Trust Company. Now, the amendment literally nullifies the requirement for income taxes to be apportioned among the states by population. Beautiful workaround by the government, truly. Spectacular work. And just think about this for a second. Think of how ambiguous the 16th Amendment is compared to how the founders had laid out three distinct purposes to levy taxes, okay? The 16th Amendment was written in a way that gave government unrestricted power to lay and collect taxes and essentially undoing what the founders sought so hard to protect. Right? A government that is so powerful and overreaching that they can just endlessly tax you. And you can take whatever subsequent rulings and analyses that has been given to defend the 16th Amendment, but just remember, our country was founded in part because of issues with taxation. And here we are, less than 300 years later, begging the government not to hike our taxes again or penalize people just because they make above a certain amount of money and others don't. That's the state of the country. And it is shameful how we have preserved the memory of the founders and the spirit of resistance to an overreaching government. I mean, truly, truly shameful. Our founders would be rolling in their graves. And folks, because I'm counting on you that you all stuck around through my little nerdy rant there, I want to turn our attention back to the never-ending trans debate. So a bunch of women who were at a tech conference are complaining about men who claim to be non-binary basically rob them of their chance to get jobs at these major tech firms. Now, the conference claimed to be celebrating the achievements of women and non-binary tech people, but so many women have now come forward saying that the conference was anything but.
I need to redress all the dudes that showed up at the conference this year. If you're a dude watching this video, this is a space for women in tech.
And this year is the first year where there has been an insane amount of men who went, and they're not going to listen to the sessions and learn. They were there just purely for the career fair.
Why would a man be there? Why would a man be there? No, it's actually pissing me off. And where were most of these male allies during the panels? Nowhere to be found, but you can spot several ones here and at the Career Expo.
Folks, this is hysterical to me. Okay? We have somehow accepted, as a society that wanted to fight men beating women, that it's actually okay for a man to beat a woman so long as he pretends that he is actually not a man. This was the greatest play in history by men, right? Oh, the feminists want to make us toxic and shame us for being men? No problem. We'll just hijack womanhood in the name of progress and erase women while we get ahead and then call real feminists who see this as a problem bigots. It'll work out beautiful. And it has. Where are all the feminists standing up for women's rights? When I see men who believe they are women trying to call themselves a woman, I'm livid, because generations before me fought so hard so that I could have my right to own a credit card. I could have my right to vote. I could be in the workforce. And now I'm supposed to let a bunch of men in drag who are mentally ill call me a bigot because I don't want them to basically mansplain to me, a woman, how to be a woman. Make it make sense. You can't rationalize this asinine way of thinking that we have adopted as a society. You can't. It is pure insanity. There's so much insanity going on in America that I don't even some days know where to start with topics, because I read something and I'm just like, wow, 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 wow. And then we're up to 15 topics and I'm like, cut it down. Folks, there will be more topics tomorrow on The Brink.